Welcome to Titan HST's Business Continuity Today, hosted by Todd DeVoe, where planning meets reality.
Good morning, or good afternoon, and depending on where you are at. And today is a special day. In an interesting way here, I am in the Sitch Radio Studios, and if you can see the background here, it's with the checkered and black. And we are going to be doing our last show from this particular studio because Sitch Radio is moving to a new location, much bigger, much better, and you'll be seeing different backgrounds. So I know that Brian is excited about that, and I'm proud of him that it's growing and it's exciting stuff right there. So I just kind of wanted to share that information with you today. So I'm Todd DeVoe, and I've been responding to disasters for a long time in some form or fashion. And I moved into emergency management because I started doing medical logistics. And I thought that was really fun, and emergency management became a passion of mine. So emergency management. And then I moved into teaching at the higher education level here. And what I love to do is learn about things and then share things. So today's going to be a little bit different story. Today we're talking about the country's opening. Is it good? Is it a false start, or what's the deal with this? And I'll tell you from a little personal experience that I had. So first of all, to all the fathers out there, happy Father's Day weekend, a day late, or a couple days late, I guess. But because of that, I went to the Angels baseball games on Thursday and Friday night with my son. We had a great time. But what I noticed there is that there were some logistical issues that were going on at the stadium. And I got to talk to a friend of mine who works at Angel Stadium and kind of had a conversation about what some of the issues were. Now, this has nothing to do necessarily with the operations of Angels baseball or what's going on there. But there are some hiccups that occurred that I'd like to discuss. Maybe are we ready for reopening? As a business continuity professional, I think this is something that you guys need to be looking into with your organizations, as well as we're starting to see Disneyland opening up and they're having some issues and other attractions like this that haven't had guests in there for a long time, and some of the logistical issues that are going on. So, for example, let's go back to the baseball stadium. Getting into the stadium, it was amazing. This is the first time in a couple years, or since a couple years, I guess, since the baseball season of 2020 was moved to no crowds, with that weird piped in crowd noise and trying to still have the atmosphere for the ball players and for the people watching at home. And so we went from cardboard cutouts to some people in the crowd, a limited numbers of people in the crowd. And then on Thursday was the first time that Angel Stadium was a full capacity since the 2020 season. And they had some issues, starting off with the idea of pulling into the parking lot. Now, there's always around Angels baseball and also the Ducks Stadium, the Honda Center on the 57 freeway during those times. It's very crowded, especially if two games are going on at the same time. But in the case here, the traffic was worse than normal. It took me an hour and a half to get into the parking lot, which, okay, whatever, it is what it is. You know, they had some issues with the people running processing. They're not using cash, so everything is through credit card. They had some problems with some of the machines. So anyway, that's part of the issue. So we get into the parking spaces, no big deal. Get into the stadium pretty quickly, actually, going through security. And then the problem is they went down to a 25%, maybe, I'm guessing here, maybe somebody from Angels could tell us how many actually were open on their concessions. And the lines were amazing around to get just a hot dog and peanuts and whatever. And so we walked around the stadium a little bit just to kind of reorientate ourselves, and we took our seats. I told my son, I said, "Hey, let's wait till the seventh inning to go get some food," because I figured by that time the lines would be down. Nope, it was an hour and a half from the point where we're at to be able to go get something to eat, and it got me thinking. I'm like, what were some of the issues that occurred here? were they not prepared for a full? I mean, they had to know that they're sold out, right? The ticket sales were there. They had to know what their staffing is, and was it sold out, or and what do they do now? Now, from what I understand, is some of the concessions are having a hard time hiring people. Not that the jobs aren't available, but people aren't applying for the jobs or taking the jobs because I mean, they're a part time position. They are limited to, I don't know what the pay is. I'm sure it's not the best pay around, but it is part time, and so people aren't taking those jobs. So now we have this really interesting thing going on where we have a labor shortage, right? We have a labor shortage, but yet, well, a little politics here for a minute, but yet we have the highest unemployment rate, in the state of California that we've had in a long time. So maybe that has something to do with it, right? I don't know. But regardless, they had to have known and planned for what was going on. And matter of fact, one of the places that I noticed that I walked by, there was probably 10 or so stations at this one vendor spot, but in this case, there was one dude working behind the counter pouring drinks, and the line again was crazy. It was just a I don't know, halfway down the stadium side of it. I don't know how many people were there. I didn't count. Um, but yeah, and so it really made it difficult for people to kind of enjoy the game, right? Because I mean, they had to stand in line to get their refreshments instead of being able to watch the game. Although it's, I guess that's part of being at the baseball stadium. Now, that being said, what are we doing as other businesses, not just ballparks and venues, right? Disneyland, for instance, they had issues as well with getting people into the park. They called them the gaggle of Disney goers, and it was all up to Harbor Boulevard, of where they were standing to get into line. It was crazy. I've never seen it like that before. Thank God I wasn't going to Disney. But the lines are crazy there as well because they're reopening. And are they prepared for those crowds? And what can we do? As business continuity professionals, as emergency managers, planning for that, because this is where my concern is, right? When it comes into lines like this, into issues, especially with like Disneyland. If you're talking about safety and security of the guests that are going to your thing, when they're outside of your gates, technically they're not your responsibility, right? But however, what happens, inside those lines, outside the gates, this is where we see issues like say with like the Boston bombing, for instance, where people are walking through in the crowded areas with very low security. Could we have those issues again? Something we should be concerned about. Those are some of those things that go through my mind regarding on the security side of things. On the business side of things, are you planned for that crowd? So should you be dialing back the number of people that you're allowed to have come in, the number of tickets that you sell for your venue, for instance. If you do not have enough staff to be able to take care of them, that's something you can. Or on the other end of it, how do you staff up? For this, are we ready to reopen? And then the other side of this thing too is on the crowds, right? I am all for the idea of reopening when we're supposed to be reopening. As far as the rest of the world, we need the people want this. They need this. This is something that they're starving for, is to having normal put back into it. But however, can we have normal or whatever the new normal is, I suppose, with precautions specifically for health? And I think those are some of the struggles that we're going to be having right now when it comes into what we do as a profession, as far as the safety for guests and also for personnel at this place. Mask, no mask. I don't. That's not the debate that I want to have in here, but it's the idea of how do we move forward with safety precautions and realistically comfort precautions, right, for the guests and for people going back into businesses. You're seeing restaurants opening up as well, and I think that's great. You're seeing but it's an odd mix as well as with staffing when it goes back to staffing again. The other event that I went to, which I thought was really awesome, was the car show that we have in our town. I thought that was a lot of fun for Father's Day weekend as well. And again, it was neat to see the crowds back out there again. We're no longer in this the holdback of the COVID. The crowds are out there. Everybody is behaving themselves, and I think that's really cool. So the question is: we are opening. Are we prepared to be open? I think that we need to really sit back and take a look at what our reopening plans are like. As business continuity professionals, as emergency managers, we should be having those conversations not only with the venues that we're dealing with the cities as well, and how that looks and what the safety and security would look like. So everybody, I really want to say thank you so much for being with us today. Again, Brian Colburn, congratulations on moving to the larger space. I can't wait to see it. I know that you've been working hard on putting it together. To all the fathers out there, happy Father's Day. A little bit late, and I really do appreciate you. And hey, remember, for all your communications needs, don't forget to look for Titan HST because they are there for you. Until next time, stay safe and stay hydrated.